Hello, everyone, and welcome to Angel Meadows Radio. I am Mama D, your host. My show is called A Conversation with Friends because I believe everyone is a friend we have yet to meet. This show is where you get to know new friends or get reacquainted with old friends. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. Hey, everybody, it's me, Mama D, and my guest, Nate Battle. Thank you. Another lovely Sunday evening. It's getting colder up here in Quebec. I'm getting out the long johns. It's cold. I'm seriously don't do the cold well. So if you don't find me, send me up a fireplace and you defrost me. Okay, Nate. Thank you very much for joining me. We spoke back in September, if I remember correctly,
Hmm.
and it's been crazy since then.
Indeed,
It's like
indeed.
early part of September, and things just. So, okay, let me read the bio, and then you can tell everybody else what the bio doesn't say.
Sounds good.
As a certified health and well-being coach, a professional speaker, Nate is the founder and chief executive coach of Battle Coaching LLC. Nate is the author of the book The Battle, which is it? Battle Endurance. You can be. Oh lordy, my mouth is not working tonight. How you can be someone who never quits and gives everything you have to give. Nate provides wellness coaching, helping his clients manage stress by skillfully navigating through challenges in pursuit of living up to their fullest potential. Nate turns 30 plus years of professional and life altering experiences with business ranging from small startups to Fortune 100 companies into tools you can use to live your best life now on purpose, achieving life with harmony. I did it. Only one trip up.
Nice.
Well, let's just get okay. Let's first off, we're going to show the book. Showing the book in my hands is not going
Oh,
to work.
nice.
But
Look
you
at
know,
that. I've seen
yeah,
that before.
I'm pretty. Yeah, look at it. There's a, there you go. See, I got one too.
Very cool.
So, tell everybody a little bit about who Nate is.
Nate is a ordinary person. Um,
Nobody's
using
ordinary.
Yeah, well, I phrase it that way because I'm using my remarkable life to make an extraordinary impact on the lives of others. And the reason I say ordinary is we are all individuals, humans,
Mm-hmm.
and unique by those rights. But the challenges we face are not.
No.
And I'm trying to imply, because I usually steered clear of ordinary and basic and, run of the mill, those types of adjectives, because that just didn't describe me. But it's important for me to point out to those that I work with, encourage uh, those that I'm cold to let them know I'm not superhuman, that if I
Okay.
can do it, they can too. So that's the reason for the ordinary. I could say unique, but people don't relate to that until I can get individuals to the point where they understand their greatness, their uniqueness, their unstoppableness. We usually start with ordinary. So I'm
Very true.
I, I'm the
Okay, I'll
one
let you have it.
special. It's really to relate. We all are, but we all are humans, and that that is really that's who I am. That's who Nate is, and that answers that question, I believe. Hopefully,
Okay, yeah. Okay, so you wrote this lovely book, and we'll get a little bit deeper into it because as you notice, I have a couple of bookmarks. Um, what inspired you to write this book?
what inspired me? I had been writing on it for years, and I had reached a point where the adversity and the challenges in my life were peaking. Or at least I thought at the time. And I was undergoing some health issues that took a very long time to diagnose. So I thought I was dying. and that this book would be my parting gift to this world, this earth. And I felt a sense of urgency to finish it,
Mm.
and did. I actually pre-released it on my birthday, and then re-released it a couple times actually later. It turns out that I wasn't dying. Hey, I'm still here. It was
Yay!
just
That or I'm actually seeing my first ghost.
this is true. It could be, maybe both, at least in spirit form. It just turned out to be a pesky chronic illness for which there is no cure. In any regard, what I wanted to do with this book is to share with others, to inspire them. This book is about living up to my personal mission statement, and that is to encourage others to endure through their challenges while inspiring them to live up to their fullest potential on their way to wellness.
Mm.
That's why I published it, to share,
Cool.
to encourage.
Do you mind if I ask what the chronic illness was?
No,
Is? Does it have a name
I.
about this long?
Yes, it does actually.
Okay.
Begins with an F. Fibromyalgia.
Ah, yes. I have a lot of friends that are stuck with that. And as a matter of fact, uh, I never had. I've always wanted a tattoo. Just gonna go off a
Uh-huh.
little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm allergic to very little except pain. Really
Mm.
allergic to pain. So the idea of getting a tattoo was like, my kids have it, and it's like, yeah, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that if I was going to get one, I had to get somebody I was really comfortable with,
Sure.
and finally found someone. And then I had to decide on what I wanted. But I don't know if you can see, but I have this thing for butterflies, and
Oh yeah,
so I
beautiful.
knew it had to be a butterfly. So one day I was coming across, just looking through, and I found the most perfect butterfly. Can't show you now
Oh,
because she's under a shirt, but I had it done, and the girl who did it did an amazing job. I did like a 2 hour meditation before I went, so I was really zen when I went there. So there was no
uh-huh.
pain except when she got close to the bone. It was more of a
Ooh,
weird vibration.
ooh.
But I found out after it's the butterfly for fibromyalgia.
Really?
Yeah. Now I will find the picture of it somewhere, still on my computer, and send it to you. And I
Please
never
do
realized
that.
that
Please do that.
because I'm a Reiki practitioner, Reiki master,
Mm-hmm.
and quite a few of my clients have fibromyalgia. So it was
Mm.
like, and I never realized this till after. And I just did research on the butterfly after it was done. It was like somebody said, "Do you know it's the?" And I was like, "Really?" So I had to. So yeah. Okay.
Please do that. Butterflies have special meaning, as
Yes,
you
they
know,
do.
and certain significances. And anytime I see one, when one lands near or around you, they're like, okay,
Hmm.
what's that about? But I had no idea that there was a. Please send me that, as
Yes, I will.
I've only met one other human being. First of all, you already know that fibromyalgia is predominantly, those that are diagnosed with fibromyalgia are predominantly female.
Yes.
Only about 10% are male. Now, the argument
Hmm.
there is
See, you're
that
extra special now.
that men don't report it because of its symptoms.
Yeah.
Depression, chronic pain.
Hmm.
It's like whining, and then there's the whole medical. Not there's a whole another industry, insurance, that doesn't believe it exists. It's not real. It's in your head.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And a lot of people just think it's just because the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with you, so they just put it under that cover
yeah,
of
no,
that
not
word. So yeah,
not
no.
after um, 11 months to diagnose and a very extensive line of testing to rule out every other possibility. And that was really fun because some of those other possibilities were very scary, terminal. And
Yeah.
so, no, it's not a catch all. It is this if it is not
Yeah.
all of
No,
these
but I'm
other
saying
things. Yeah.
that's what some people believe.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And
Totally. Yes.
it's
Yes.
like
Totally agree.
it's like you don't know what it
Just
is. And
lump it in there.
it's also a disease that people can't see,
No.
so they don't believe it exists.
No, they those same people that say it's a bucket, um,
Hmm.
say that you're
It's all
faking
in
it,
your head. Yes.
and what they don't know is that we're faking being well. We're
Hmm.
faking appearing okay and healthy, when most of the times we're in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
We are just tired beyond. We've loaded ourselves up with anything to prop ourselves up to the point
Mm-hmm.
of, not harming ourselves, and sometimes just not that. But we don't want to be a burden to others,
You
and
know.
you're not yourself. Uh, it is. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I don't have a
Yeah.
lot because I don't spend a lot of time with enemies. There are people that may dislike
It's
me, but
not
I don't
worth your
waste time
time.
dislike. Absolutely. So,
Exactly.
but it is just every day. When they go to the doctor, and this is, I'm glad we're talking about this because it needs an education and people need to understand.
Yes.
When you go to the doctor, they say, well, rate your pain for us on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. And I said, yeah, in the mornings, it's usually, 7, 8, 9. I don't need an alarm clock. I'm woken up by pain when I uh, haven't had a good night's sleep in 6 years, and restful. And then I try to manage it with all of the medications down to about a 4 or 5. So if you can imagine, never, ever,
Yeah.
ever getting over the flu,
Mm.
ever. And that is, you just learn to live with it. And
Oh yeah.
for that reason, in fibromyalgia, there's a difference between chronic fatigue. I've done a lot of research on this. Chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and they say chronic fatigue is generally spawned by some sort of viral infection or perhaps surgery or something like that.
Okay.
Where fibromyalgia is supposedly, the best that they understand, comes from some type of trauma or traumatic event. Most people can name the day of the onset. I can. It was, I
Okay.
remember it very, very distinctly. It was career, job related, or shall I say, bad actor in the career related. And it felt like molten metal going through your veins, lava, metal, hot. And it has never ceased. It's just the medications they put you on to try to
Mm-hmm.
cope with it. So, very interesting disease. And actually, the one other person I met was a male,
Well,
which,
I've got quite a few ladies on my friends list
okay,
who have it, but like you say, not a lot of people talk about it.
no.
You know, and I can understand just a smidgen of what you mean. Hold on a second. Phone wasn't turned off. I can understand just a smidgen of what you mean by pain, because about a little over a year ago,
Hmm.
I did the splits in a grocery store, and at 57 years old, going down was real easy. It's the getting back up that was. So I have not worked since then, and I cannot
Mm,
stand for more than 2, 3 hours really pushing it.
I
And
get it.
so I sleep through the nights with medication and help,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
wake up like you could have sort of shoved me off the bed. So I understand the pain.
Mhm.
You kind of sort of learn to live with it,
Yeah.
and people go, well, you know what, you don't look. Trust me, you know, but fibromyalgia is like whole other level. I'm here, and you're like, where the hell up here? Heck,
It, it
up
it
here.
varies because everyone's ability to deal with pain,
Mm-hmm.
it can vary. What may be a 4 to me might be a 10 to someone else.
Very true. Well, like I said,
And
I'm allergic to pain, so when I say I'm in pain, that means it is hurting a lot
yeah,
normally, because I usually just don't just move and go on.
yeah, yeah. It's a lifestyle adjustment. My rheumatologist said that hopefully with medication and over time, when you're doing what you love and enjoy what you
Mm-hmm.
do. This was the first prescription she wrote me, and I hold her dearly in high esteem. She was the last in a very long string of very highly qualified. I have a great medical team, and I'm very thankful for every one of them because they care,
Mm-hmm.
they take the time, and that I doesn't happen as often as it should
No,
in,
it
in
doesn't.
today's world. But the last person, and she said, when you're doing what you love and enjoy what you do, you possibly can get back to 80% of your former self. Now I'm working on that.
Mm-hmm.
Not there yet. And being the overachiever that I was, 80% might not be that bad. But I am trying now. And I mean, that ties right back to the book, to do what I love, to do what
Well, that's
matters,
good.
to make an impact in this world, leave more of a mark than my tombstone. And that's my way of getting
Mm-hmm.
back in life. Dealt with a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges. And so my way of getting back is to say, you know what? I'm going to make a positive impact for all the negative that I've received. I'm going to encourage others for all of the people that were discouraged by those things in life. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that came at a point where I had lost the will to live.
Yeah.
And that's one of the chapters in the book. You might have read that, You Aside.
Yes, I did. That's one of my questions in along the thing. So since we've gotten there, let's explain. Okay, for those who are just coming on, the book is not about fibromyalgia, but it's a very important part of who Nate is. It's one of the reasons why he created, maybe at the end created this book, but this is the book. All right, let's see. Battle Endurance: How You Can Become Someone Who Never Quits and Gives Everything You Have to Give. Okay, so explain you aside. Everybody's going to go suicide. I know what,
Right.
suicide is, but what is suicide?
You Aside is, I was sitting at I go to the beach. I live about 3 miles from the ocean. And when things are stressful, that's my place of peace. I
Right.
joke with people about I go to the Church of the Living Water.
Hey, yes, I like that one.
But as I was sitting there in my mind in a deep state of depression, major depression, I couldn't snap out of it. I had lost the will to live. I didn't want to go on. Now
Mm-hmm.
they say to be suicidal, you have to have the desire, a means, and a plan. I had the first two, the desire, I had a means, and I was sitting in my soft top Jeep making a plan. Maybe I can just not wake up. I can't really take myself out because I want to make sure that my wife and kids get the benefit of, the life insurance. I'm
Yeah,
literally going through this process,
right.
and as I was sitting there, just if I could just not wake up, if it could just be over, I'm done. I'm tired. This is just not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, some people think, well, you get to that point when you bottom out. I was making six figures, so
Okay.
it wasn't.
You weren't, yeah.
It wasn't one of the times I had to start over in life, and it just life was not fulfilling for me. And as I was sitting there, loud bang. I turned and looked, and the guy in the car behind me got out, and I got out, and we ran around, and there as I approached this bench looking into the ocean uh, with red on it, I looked on the ground, and there's this gentleman laying on the ground with a hole in his head. Nice polo shirt, pants, shorts, Docksider shoes. Not an indigent, probably well
Mm-hmm.
to do. Laying on the ground, and I'm now mesmerized. The world ceased
Mm-hmm.
to exist. It stopped for me in that moment. As I continued to approach him, it became silent, and I kept coming up to him, and I'm like, I wanted to ask him. I needed to know why. What was so wrong in your life? What was so challenging that you thought this was the way out? That you thought this was the answer, rather? And I'm continuing. I'm going forward, and I needed that answer from him, and he's
Mm-hmm.
gasping for breath, and it is nothing like in the movies. By the way, it's a very horrific scene
Yeah.
as I watched the color fade from him and it drain from him. Now, mind you, a few moments ago, I was just having this conversation in my head about
Yep.
losing the will to live. Yet I'm asking this gentleman, why?
Why?
What led you here? Why would you want to do that? I'm getting closer and closer. And he, forcefully, as part of his brain was the one still intact, was trying to breathe. And I watched him fade away. And
Mm-hmm.
at some point, while I'm standing over him, the other voice in my head said, Nate, yeah, you're a black guy standing over a white guy in Delray Beach, Florida, with a hole in his head. You might want to take a step back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I kind of came into it, and then the world resumed,
Mm-hmm.
where I heard the noise and the woman on her cell phone screaming, and people started gathering, and all of this occurring that I hadn't heard before, and then just as a matter of process, like it was normal. The first responders arrived. The yellow tape went up, and it was like television, for example. It just life
Yeah.
went on. And I kind of faded into the background in the crowd, and the police came and asked a few questions of people and took statements, and they put the tape, let me out, and went on. And I'm like, wow, why did I need to see that?
Mm.
A, to know that that's not the way, that's not the answer, that's not the purpose, that's not
Yeah.
that we're given life as a gift. It's not ours to take, but we
Oh
are
yeah.
supposed to give. And so what I learned from that was this: why I got to that point of losing the will to live. In my head, I'm having the conversation. You thought life was going to turn out this way. You thought life was going to be in this manner. You thought things would work out differently. You thought, you believed, you felt. Common denominator on all of that was you.
You.
And so that's where the term in that chapter, which is my favorite chapter in the book, "you-aside,"
You
came up
aside.
as. We don't, it's not suicide, removing again, I talked about our life. It's you-aside. Remove you from that equation,
Mm-hmm.
your expectations. And here, where the rubber hit the road for me on that was, if I'm willing to cease to exist in life, all of those things that I'm concerned about were bugging me, were worrying me, were upsetting me, either they'll continue to go on without me or they'll cease.
Yeah.
So why can't I continue to live as if to detach myself from those things and continue to
Mm-hmm.
live? Now I've got a whole new life. In other words,
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about that thing that was oppressing me or burdening me or upsetting me. I'm done with it. I've disconnected from it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to allow myself to be driven by whether it be a financial burden or whether it be a relationship. None of that. If I'm disconnecting myself from all of that and the consequences of what may occur, because again, if I was willing to not exist, if I was willing to not live anymore, then it doesn't matter what happens. I'm going to deal with it.
Yeah.
If I end up losing my house, for example, all right, I'll get another one, but I'm going to live. So for some people, it's, the financial times right now, losing a car. If that
Yeah.
relationship ends, okay, but I'm gonna move on, just as if my life had ended. But instead of taking it, now I've got a brand new life in which to live, and I'm going to
Start
go into
over.
it that way. So that was step one. Step two for me was payback. Life had dealt me some lemons. I've had lemonade factories. When you say life gives you lemons, make lemonade
Yeah.
factories. And so I wanted to get back at life by giving back. I'm not the only person that's faced challenges, that have endured things,
Mm-hmm.
that have had things happen to them that would be described as unfair. Face it, life is unfair. People don't play
Yeah.
by the rules. They don't always
Nope.
do what they're supposed to. People are unethical. They lack emotion, care, concern. That's the reality. They're bad
Yeah.
actors in this world, in all
Oh yeah.
walks, all areas, all professions.
Oh
and
yeah.
and so we have to learn to navigate through that, not
Yeah.
all, but enough to make it uncomfortable. So rather than letting them win, I
Mm-hmm.
decided to get back and say, you know what, life, you took your worst shot. You hit me hard, you knocked me down.
Mm-hmm.
And as I heard in the head, my head, the one with the horns over here saying, you know what, give up, quit. You don't have any reason. Forget it. You lost. You're a loser. Life sucks for you. Just quit. You don't have any reason to live. And I went, wait, what? Live? So I'm still alive. Uh-huh. And you took your best shot. Uh-huh. I slowly got up with the pain and I brushed myself off. And I looked life in the eye and I said, you took your best shot and I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
I win.
Exactly.
And that then is my approach every day. If all I have to do is exist, I
Then you
win.
win. Yep.
To not quit, I win. To not give up. If all the energy, I'm not saying I'm not saying just merely exist. That's miserable in and of itself.
Yeah.
But if
No.
all you have is the strength to exist, do it.
Mm.
Because you win if you don't quit. If you win, Les Brown says it best. If you get knocked down, try to fall on your back. Because if you can see up, you can get up.
Ooh, I
And
like that.
there are days where I had to just lay there. But I looked up
Mm-hmm.
and I said, one day
Yeah.
I will get up, and I don't care what happens or how. I'm not going to let it rule over me. I'm going to win. And then to get back, sharing that with as many people as possible to encourage them, because we've already won in life. We have everything we need inside of us to be victorious, to be successful. I define success as when you lay your head on the pillow at night, you have peace within your soul.
Mm.
And we have everything. We just, the world is screaming at us that we don't, screaming at us not to, because the negative forces that are there don't want success, harmony, peace,
Yeah.
wellness. I could go and I could talk about that subject for an hour, but I'm going to pause for a minute to see if there's other areas here more that you want to talk
But
about.
I have to agree. I am uh, first off, Dave in the chat room. We have a couple of in the chat room. Says, "Being, what a wonderful world." Word, sorry, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I have this thing where I will find the silver lining to everything. I don't care how bad it is. There's always a silver lining. As people say, "Oh my God, I'm in pain."
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you woke up. In pain reminds you that you are alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, a really good friend of mine who I lost, losing quite a few this lately, but a really good friend of mine. He was a healer. He was a hardworking man. He would go to work every day. He
Mm-hmm.
was worked in the farming industry,
Mm-hmm.
and he would come home and he was just like make his dinner, and he would just. It was all about work. It was all about everybody else.
Right, right.
And then they discovered he started having issues, and they discovered a brain tumor, but it
Mm.
was right on the base of his the cervical whatchamacallit there.
Inoperable.
Technical word. It was inoperable. They couldn't do anything. So he took all the medications that they gave him, but in the end, he knew that none of it was actually doing him any good.
Mm-hmm.
So he just let it be.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had to stop working because he couldn't drive and he couldn't do this. And then he took up drawing and he took up art
Okay.
and he became amazing at it. I have to say, the very first butterfly he drew looked like an overweight moth, but I have that painting, I have that sketch. And then later on, he sent me another one, which was like he was happy with it. He said the
Sure.
first one's not good. I said no, I want them both. You know, but that was his silver line because if he hadn't stopped working, if this disease hadn't decided to dance with him,
Right.
that's what I call it, dancing with them. I don't say they have
Mm.
it. Um, he never would have realized how good of an artist he was. And he sold quite a few not paintings, but he was very good at sketching, pencil
Okay.
art.
Okay.
And he was really good at that. And he sold quite a few. He was still young. He was in his mid 50s. And
Mm.
I think he had it for about a year and a half. And then he left just this year.
Okay.
And it was the hardest thing. But I still say that through that horrible disease, he found art. He found another outlet of where he could do what he wanted to do. Because
Mm-hmm.
for me, as a healer, you can't heal other people if you're not well, if you can't feel the wellness. And when
Mm.
he wasn't drawing, he couldn't feel the wellness. He couldn't help other people because he couldn't help himself. But once he started drawing, he was able to help other people through his work, through his art. So that was for me was the silver lining. Had to tell him that one day, and he was like, "Okay, you make so much damn sense." I was like, "Yeah, there you go." You know,
He was blessed and
he
honored
was.
to have you as a friend, and I'm sorry to hear about that loss. It
He
is
was. He
challenging.
was a sweetie. I have lost a couple of friends, and one to. As I don't call it suicide. I call it he chose his way home.
Understood.
He was in a lot of pain, and he just couldn't see the light.
Mm.
No matter how much poking and prodding I did to him,
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't see that light. So he chose his way home. And I used to think it was a selfish thing to do, but
Mm.
I grew up and I learned better. I learned the things. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it was his choice. Nobody He made sure nobody could stop him,
Mm-hmm.
and he was
Mm-hmm.
ready, you know.
Understood.
But there are people out there that like you said, there are ways to find people out there to talk to. For you, you were making that plan, and the universe was like, really? Here,
Mm.
let me show you what you're in for.
Yeah,
And they
exactly.
put that, gentleman, I'm
Totally.
sorry for the family, but they put that gentleman in front of you for a reason,
Without a doubt. I
you
mean,
know?
I mentioned it was a soft top Jeep, and there was a moment there where I realized which way he shot, and I got upset. I said, "You almost hit me." Wait a minute,
Yeah,
wasn't
my
that what?
Jeep. Yeah,
But it was serendipitous,
yeah.
divine for me to see that, because my journey wasn't done. There were people that I were am called to,
Hmm.
and I've recognized that after the fact. Even you mentioned so many things, but three key things. You mentioned pain. Pain can be so. There have been days with fibromyalgia pain where even beyond having lost the will, now having the will,
Hmm.
not now wanting to achieve and accomplish some things before I leave, there are some days when the pain is so great where you wish it would end,
Yeah.
and then you fight through that. So I get that. The other thing you said was silver lining, and the way I put that is silver lining, and is to me synonymous with there's something to learn from every challenge that you face, every
Yeah.
difficulty. And if you look for that, it makes it more palatable, bearable,
Hmm.
and you can find a path through it. Oftentimes we look for ways to avoid it, to escape it, to go
Yeah.
around it, and then we miss the lesson. And guess what? We get to repeat it, and life will generally challenge you with the same lesson until you
Oh, yeah.
learn it. And then I've learned that if you're really hard-headed like me, stubborn, the
Yeah.
lesson, the challenge gets more difficult,
Hmm.
uh, to encourage you to pass it. And that is, um, I just learned to look for the lesson in every difficulty, every challenge, and then you don't feel it's a personal attack as much, and
Yeah.
you get something positive out of it. The last thing he said was very crucial, and that's something we don't always know as individuals. There, you said, in order to be a healer, you have to heal yourself first. That is where that is the most important relationship of all relationships. As a
Hmm.
health coach, I focus on the primary foods and secondary foods. Primary foods are relationships, career, physical activity, and spirituality. The secondary foods, those foods we ingest, broccoli, steak, salad, whatever. You can eat all the broccoli in the world. You will
Hmm.
not be healthy and whole if you have a toxic primary food, if you're in a toxic
Yeah.
relationship or the wrong job, or not doing your physical activity, or not being grounded with a faith or spirituality, or whom what humbles you to be
Yeah.
grateful, to gratitude. And the most key in that is a group is the relationship piece. So oftentimes we want to enter into relationships with other people and we want them to love us. We don't know how to love ourselves.
Exactly.
We want them to respect us. We don't know how to
Yes.
respect ourselves. So how can you request of someone to do something for you that you can't even really identify
Do
and
for
know what
yourself.
it is? And that's where the madness breaks out. So I've often said that no one is going to respect you more than you respect yourself. No one is going to care about you more than you care about yourself. No one is going to invest in you more than will invest in yourself. And most importantly, no one is going to love you more than you love yourself. So the first place for all of us to start when we're dealing with life, and that's across the board, everything, whether it be challenges, adversity, good or bad, is to learn that practice of self-care, self-love, self-respect. Get yourself to a place where you are wellness, where
Yeah.
you are healed, before trying to heal others or request that from others. Because how can I go to a restaurant and order a meal? I have no clue what it is. If it's in a foreign language, I'm going
Hmm.
to be dissatisfied probably, especially if my
Yeah.
taste buds were for something else.
Yeah.
And some people think it's selfish. No, it's called self-care.
Yeah.
It begins and ends with you. It's not
Yes.
selfish. You will be a
Exactly.
better gift. You will find your gift and it'll be a better gift, a better you will have a greater, a more positive impact on this world if you yourself are whole. Sometimes it requires isolation. Many times it requires boundaries. I talked about that
Oh
in some
yeah.
videos. You've got to weed out of your life those individuals who are not allowing you self-care, to self-love,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
self-respect, who are tearing you down. And oftentimes those are people who don't have those things, who don't have respect, despise themselves, and so they look for themselves and they look for other people to, kick down, put down, so they can feel better about themselves because they really don't like themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a whole
Not
nother
gonna get an
conversation.
argument from me there. Not gonna get an argument from me there. I watch it. For me, I haven't been working for over a year,
Mm,
and I have watched because my outlet is was and always will be a social media,
mhm,
because I'm always on it, and
mhm,
I'm a watcher. I watch what people do. I watch what they say, and it's amazing how, like I said, I my job, my regular day job,
mhm,
was a cashier. Now most people think, oh, cashier, easy. But my premise of my job
mhm.
was, yeah, I had to make the company money.
Yeah.
But the person who stepped in front of me,
Mhm.
so long as they left with a smile, I was
Yes,
happy. That made my job perfect.
that's huge.
I couldn't do anything, and in training other employees when they would come in, I would say, you know what, you leave, we all have stuff,
Mhm.
but you leave it at the door,
Right.
because the person who comes in and stands in front of you, they may just want to buy a pack of
Mhm,
cigarettes,
mhm.
but you can see on their face that something's wrong. So you want to make them smile.
Yes.
Everybody who comes in that door, I always say, everybody who comes in that door is a member of your family. You may not like your uncle, your brother, your cousin, your whatever,
True.
but
Right.
mama says this is Christmas dinner. You be nice to everybody. So
Nice.
everybody who came in got the same treatment. Y'all part of my family. You might be a butthead, but I'll treat you like one. But I'll do it with
Absolutely.
a smile.
You
And
might have been the best part of their day.
I hope that's what I wanted to be.
Hmm.
Not just, I enjoyed making sure that everybody had like free hug. Well, it wasn't a physical one because there was a counter between us, but husbands would come in and they were all cranky and whatever, and the wives would be like, oh my god. So I would be, is it okay? And yeah, it's fine. So I would give the husbands a hard time, but they left with a smile on their face, and
Absolutely.
the wives would be giggling like and be like, thank you,
Mm.
thank you, he's now in a good mood. Well, price of gas was an obscene amount of money, but hey, you got to see me, right? It's like,
People don't
it's just,
understand. That's infectious.
it
Attitude
is.
is infectious, and you can infect more so than this virus someone with a
Yes.
positive or negative attitude, and that then
Mm.
has a ripple effect.
Yes.
You can be that the front line. Uh, any company I've ever worked for, and the teams I've had, and I don't care how many layers uh, in the organization they were removed from me. The frontline
Mm-hmm.
resource was
Yep.
the most valuable resource in the company, and I made a point of letting them know that they were my
Mm.
priority, not senior management. Maybe that's why I had such a challenging time and hit my head on the glass ceiling so many times because I
Yeah.
didn't cater to senior leadership,
Oh, I
management,
understand that one.
not necessarily always leadership. They had the
Mm.
titles, but not the skill set, aptitude, desire, humility. We can go. That's coming out in my next book. But it was the people that dealt with your customers, your clients, the people that made the difference, the greatest impact. Unfortunately, they were always generally, usually the lowest paid. And
Yep.
it's kind of a really upside down, and they call it bass backwards system. But
I like that. Yes,
your,
I use the phrase
you know,
often.
what you do, what in that did in that capacity, if you were nasty and mean, chances are husband's going to go
Oh
home.
yeah.
He may take it out on the wife, the dog, the kid. If the kids are involved or wife, they're going to, and it ripples, and it can literally, that trauma, that toxicity will grow. Conversely,
Exactly.
it could have been heading in that path and you knocked it out. You stopped it
Oh
from
yeah.
occurring by leaving them with a smile. You did a reset. Computer
Mm-hmm.
slow, the subject not going right, restart. And that's what a simple smile can do.
Mm-hmm.
You leave a person better than you found them. And you hit on something with social media. I I'm on it. I resisted for years because it to me it looked initially like brag book, and that's not who me. That's not who I am. It's not what I
You
do.
know.
But when I was advised that you have a message, when I was told that you're creatively constipated, you need an outlet, and that stuck with me. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, I had a blog, but that wasn't, and so I'm like, okay, now
you know.
here's a good use for this media to share uplifting, inspiring, encouraging, and there's so much. And I was also told accept every friend, no matter who they are. And most of the people I've accepted as friends, I don't know. But
Yeah.
the point is to get my message across to them. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and
And Twitter,
LinkedIn and Twitter, and well, LinkedIn was
Instagram.
but
Yeah,
to
LinkedIn has got a couple of special people on there too. But yeah, it's
to
important.
share and impart. And the litmus test for me
Have we
is that
got you over? Have we got you over to TikTok yet?
no, not going there. Nope, drawing the line. That's those aren't my people. I've learned that.
Oh no, you would be amazed. You would be amazed.
Really?
There's a gentleman there who I am dying to get on my show.
Really?
He is so uplifting. His message
Okay.
is so up there. So I
Uh,
mean, even if you don't have to post stuff, but
hmm
you can go check it out. And I will
Okay.
find his name and I will message it to you later. Just go check him out. He's
Please do
good.
that. Then I
He's
may
really good.
actually explore it. My litmus test is this. There's a I love the unfollow or snooze, and that
Yeah,
there's only a few people I've blocked. If you're outright nasty or your energy is vile, you're done.
yeah,
But apart from that, I try to look at a feed, and I've got it loaded with inspiring, positive content because I used to look at it first thing, yeah, don't do that. But the litmus test for this, and I encourage everybody to use this litmus test, how to determine and discern what to look at on social media is this. The difference is look what I can do
hmm,
versus look what you can do. The people that are posting, look what I can do, are in it for attention, perhaps narcissists, and it's not necessarily content that's going to infuse, invigorate, inspire you. It's
right.
the people that are posting, look what you can do,
Mm,
that will feed into your soul, that will feed into your psyche, your mentality, that will help uplift you. So social media can really send a person just like the smile that you give. Now, granted, there's some funny stuff on there, and then
oh
there I
yeah.
used to have this comment. I watch television instead of doing drugs. It has the same effect, and it's much more socially acceptable.
Yes,
Uh,
it is.
but and now social media has had taken that over. But to
Hmm.
get to the mind numbing, I just need to check out. You've got to go through a lot of garbage, and I'm not going
Yes,
to dumpster dive to find something to entertain me. And that's it can be that way. So your feed is important,
exactly.
but then the litmus test, and people that are always looking, look what I can do. I just want the likes. I'm not on it to impress. I'm on it to impart, to impact.
Yep.
And I'm not on it to get, but to give. And odd bird, I believe you were in the same. That's how we found each other. You
Hmm.
find there's influencers, but even that word, you can influence people northward or southward,
Hmm.
and it's important to me, critical to me,
Yeah.
the legacy I leave for having been on this earth. Whom did it
Agreed.
just right back to that smile that you talked about?
Yep.
Did I leave? Did I attempt? Some people you can't change. They live to be grumpy. They live to be mean. So they
Oh, those are the ones I like the best.
I've turned a few of those around, but I've also
Exactly.
learned that I'm not called to everybody. So
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll stick with my people. And you, to leave, to attempt to have a person leave you better than they arrived. That's
Yeah.
really that's a focus. And can you imagine a world where all of us did
Oh
that?
yeah.
What
Oh, that
what,
would
what
be an
news have
amazing.
to talk about, especially here in the states?
Yeah, I know. My husband's American, so trust me, I know. I could, no
you
Canadian boy can handle me, so I had to import one from the States.
But the key word is import. So that you're not
Yes.
having to deal with the impact of what we're having to deal with here right now.
Well,
But
I think what happens in the States
hmm,
impacts whatever happens anywhere
absolutely it does.
impacts. And
Absolutely.
think a lot of people are going, well, why do you always listen? You need to pay attention
Yes.
because you have to learn what not to do.
And
And sometimes there's important things that are not being said when you hear it on social media,
hmm,
then you can share it so that it can be heard. And it's like you said, it's not always there are negative things out there, and I'm not that. Somebody once called me a Pollyanna, and I was like, okay, I didn't be sure. Okay, was that an insult? You know, I like being happy. Do I have my down days like you? Do you have pain? Heck yes.
hmm,
But do I want to post it? Sometimes I'll put on Facebook, okay, it's a moment of rant, and then I'll just sort of kind of go off,
sure.
and then
Oh,
rant
right.
over, and that'll be it. But what
Okay.
I do when I post something on Facebook, I unfollow all my posts. So, because when somebody comments on your post,
Hmm.
you get notification. I
Yes.
don't post there so I can see what people are saying. What I'll do is I'll unfollow it,
Uh-huh.
and then maybe a couple of days later, I'll go back on my feed and see what's happening. Because
Nice.
otherwise, you're going back, going back, going back. Because that little Facebook is like really notification, and some things it's notified and it's not even there.
Yeah, that's a great. I may try that. I just ignore it. Let it go. There are people that post and then they're,
Oh, I can't ignore them. And there's a little
yeah,
dot lit up. There's a number. I can't ignore it.
I don't even want to know. It's not that I don't care, but
Yeah.
simply I don't. My goal in every time I speak, every time I interact, every time I do a show, every time I reach out, is to impact one person. That's
Yep.
the goal. To make a difference in one person's life. It reminds me of a story, and the reason that this picture behind me of the
It's very nice.
seashore, one of the most beautiful stories. There was a old man walking down the side of the seashore the day after a storm, and lots of starfish had washed up on shore. And way down the in front of him, he saw this young lady, jump frolicking and moving around. And as he got closer, he noticed that she was picking up the starfish one at a time and throwing them back in the water. And then when he got up on her, he said, "Young lady, what are you doing? There are literally miles of shoreline. There are thousands of starfish. You
Mm.
you, you could do this all day, and you're not going to make an impact." She looked at him and then looked down and picked up starfish and threw it back in the water. Said, "I made a difference to that one." So that
I like that. Yeah.
in life, and I have that to remind me. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to. I don't have to have a million followers. I
Yep.
don't have to be social media or Facebook famous or YouTube famous. That isn't the goal. The goal is to make a difference in one person's life, and inevitably, every time I speak, every time I interact, I get that confirmation.
Hmm.
One person reaches out, and I'm good. My work here is done. I did what I was supposed to do.
Yep.
And every time, every one is one more than would have been had I made the other decision when I was sitting on the side of the beach having lost the will to live. So every time
Agreed.
I win, every time I
Agreed.
get to get back at life. And as you know, that the people that you positively impact, they're going to impact others. You give a
Hmm.
smile,
Oh yeah.
gave a smile. Then now what you're doing is just phenomenal, and that is going to create another type of ripple effect
Hmm.
uh, that will have far-reaching uh, effects
Oh
on
yeah. It's
human.
worldwide now. Before it was
Absolutely.
just my little corner of the world. Now it's worldwide. Poor suckers over in England still get to see me. It's like, hello
You
guys.
know what I'm saying? That's what we can do. This is a tool to
Yeah.
instantaneously reach the world in
Yeah. Well,
seconds.
like in our chat room, Dave Price, he wrote, "Kindness is free. Sprinkle that stuff everywhere you go."
Mm,
If it wasn't for social media, I would never have met him, and he's in Australia. So there's
okay,
the other side of the world. My smile is working, and I actually gave this man a job a while back. So let's see if it
nice,
works.
nice. That's beautiful.
He's got to draw a picture of me.
Oh, really?
There you go. Yep, because he said he used to. because we were talking about art, and he said he used to, and he doesn't anymore because he was no good at
Okay.
it. I said, do it again, me. So he
Nice.
supposedly snagged 2 pictures off my Facebook, and he's doing a pencil sketch.
Look at you, the inspirer. Wow.
Actually, I kind of bullied him, but I did it with a smile, so I'm okay.
Whatever
Us
works.
redheads, we can get away with anything, and that's something you had said you accept all friends on Facebook.
Hmm.
I used to until I started getting interesting messages. If you'll notice on my Facebook profile, it says, I am happily married, not looking for any kind of relationship, because they all become friends. Hi, Rosemary. They all come to me and go, Hi, I want to get to know you better. Then read my bio. Read
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
that I have to.
It's
Yeah,
out there.
oh, I want to get to know you. Well, okay, maybe you should ask my husband. No,
Well, yeah.
no.
I'm not saying that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And and some
It
there,
happens less, I think it happens less to guys than it does to girls.
yes, yeah, there has been an occasion where, I've tried the long explanation, not looking for friends. Okay,
Yeah.
this is why
Yeah.
I'm on here, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But then that's what the unfollow, delete, remove, block feature is for.
Yeah.
But there, I guess I misspoke. I don't accept everybody. If I look at their profile page,
Yeah.
and if the message on there is predominantly negative, or
Hmm.
what's the other word I'm looking for? Sexual in nature. I'll just leave it that way.
Yeah.
No, not accepting.
Hmm.
There's a little bit of a, now there are other people who I look at their feed and I kind of see it. I don't, but they might be the very person that needs to hear the message that I have to share.
Yeah.
So it's not a
Exactly.
judgment. It's it's a reaching out to the people that people look past.
Hmm.
Those are my people, the people that are struggling or challenged, or some lost, or some just needing, there's a widespread. If your life is perfect, you're not my people. If money means everything to you and people don't,
You're not my people.
it's really easy for me to go down a list of that. We're not called to everyone. But those of us who are given a gift, and in the book I say that I believe each human being is given a gift. Now, you
Yes.
touched on it earlier. Some are given the gift of being a great reverse role model on how not to be,
Hmm.
but there's positive gifts, and to
Yes.
go through this life and not give that gift would be the same as your parents went out and bought a gift and gave it to you to, give it to the person at the birthday party, and they sent you the birthday party, and you go and you show up, and you don't give the gift that you were given to give.
Hmm. It's a waste.
You got to find that. You
Yeah.
find what you're passionate about, what you think about, to make a difference. Now, some people will say, "Yeah, that's wimpy and that's weak," and rah, rah, rah. Okay, you continue to live your life that way, you grizzly bear. But for the rest of us humans, those of
Yeah.
us who are looking to use this very short period of time, of this life, uh,
Hmm.
to do something with it, we're going to continue to do that, and you're going to be the tests that's going to make us stronger. That's what you will be. You will be you go to the gym, you lift weights, you work out, you go on the treadmill. Challenges in life are free gym memberships for the
Yeah.
mental part and for the soul and the spirit to work out. So if you approach challenges with the mindset that this isn't personal, I heard it said that people are not against you, they are for themselves.
Hmm.
And if I look at the behaviors, hate, I don't hate people. First of all, hate,
No.
when you hear persons, when you love a person, you hear their name, you have emotional reaction. When you see them, you have an emotional reaction. When you hear their voice, you have an emotional reaction. The same is true for hate. So
Yep.
why would I spend the same amount of energy on someone I dislike, don't care for? So secondarily, separate the human from the behavior.
Yeah.
There are humans who behave badly, and I can have compassion for the human. I'm sorry that your life was so messed up, jacked up, screwed up, dysfunctional, that you felt that this was the type of behavior that, is acceptable.
Hmm.
So I'll hate the behavior, but not the human, because you're not getting
Yeah.
that energy from me. And
Exactly.
in what we do, we try to make a positive. We try to infect, impart the behaviors of individuals. It's, I think, a bottom line. It to try to make a difference, to try to,
Exactly.
and
There
that's what
is
I.
enough. There is enough negativity. There's more positivity than there is negativity. But the thing is, you can't you can't accept and hold on to the positivity without first seeing the negative.
Mhm,
Like growing up, like there was a question I want to ask you, and it's sort of like a double-edged sword for me. If you could
mhm,
go back and change something, what would it be? Now that's a question that many people ask me. You know,
mhm,
and I used to say I'd go back and change da, 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 da. And then I realized for me to go back and change something in my life would change the person I am today. And
yep.
there's enough people around there that like this person that I had to get to know who this person was.
Mhm.
So I'll go back and I'll revisit and I'll say, oh, what the heck did I do that for? But I won't change it because then it changes who I am now and what I have
Mm.
now. So
That is
if
a salient point.
oh,
And then that was the point about the working out, going to the gym. The challenges that we face help make us refine our character. You can go to the gym and build muscle mass, but character mass, and we wouldn't
exactly.
be. It brings out of
Hmm.
us the
Yeah,
silver lining that you spoke of, the learning, and that's a good point. If we go back and change something, will it change who we are today? So for me, I would give myself a piece of advice, and it maybe not change, to your
yeah,
point. And that would be not to take things so personally. Not
mm,
everybody is cut from the same cloth. Not everybody has, as an empath, a good empath at that. Not everybody understands things and looks at things. I've learned from master's program in uh, counseling is that there are individuals who can experience emotions.
hmm,
There are individuals who can describe them, and there are those that just don't feel them. They just know what they are, but they don't
yeah,
understand. And so to assume that everybody can feel and care, yeah, no. I could have learned that lesson and still
mm,
be who I am,
yeah,
I think,
yeah.
and
But
do my purpose and mission, and perhaps have avoided this chronic illness.
mm,
That's one thing I think
that
about.
yeah, I think there's that drawback. You would have possibly omitted the fibromyalgia if you'd have changed something back then, but the fibromyalgia that you have, everything that you've gone through, aside from the book, okay, it enables you to help somebody who's going through the same thing. Because a lot of
Mm,
people go, you don't know what I'm going through. You
mhm.
do know what somebody
That's
else is
true.
going through. So your words can help somebody. If they say, my doctor said do this, well, hey, wait a second. Just because your doctor says it, may my doctor said this, why don't you ask for a second opinion or bring
Mhm.
this up to your doctor? Because
Sure.
I went through it, and so as horrific as fibromyalgia is,
Mhm.
it I believe, and
You're
it's
right.
some people kind of challenge me on this, but I believe that we are given things, fortunately or unfortunately, so that we can learn from them, and we can also use them as a teaching tool.
I completely agree. That life,
You
there's
know,
no coincidence. Things happen. People hate that. Things happen for a reason.
yeah,
Going back to the look for the lesson, look for the positive. You
hmm,
can find, different from things happen for a reason, because, there are people that lose loved ones and they despise that statement, and I understand it.
yeah,
So we phrase that to say, look for the good in every situation
yeah,
that can come from it. You
exactly,
may be more compassionate. You may learn to be an advocate. So many positive things have occurred in this world because of pain that others have suffered. So
hmm,
look for the good in every situation. And to your point, this is one book. It was supposed to be book one of a 5-part series. It is now
Okay.
book one of a 6-part series. I am
I'm
currently
digging it out. I'm getting
actively
6 books.
I'm writing on the other at the same time. Who does this? Crazy. 5 other books in this series. One's on
Wow.
relationship. One's on cancer. One's on raising. I call it raising angels in hell. It's raising daughters of with character and principles and values in today's world.
I have one of
Uh,
those.
yeah, it's very interesting. My son, it's different in a male-dominated world than daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Leadership after 30 plus years, or escaping corporate America, and my last one, which is my second favorite, is breaking generational curses. And so if I could just get a major publisher to forward that advance, and I could probably
Oh.
get all this done in a few weekends. But until then, there's so much. The point is, in looking for the good, looking for something good in everything bad, because
Mm-hmm.
of how much I've endured. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't talk about cancer. I didn't talk about, being on the brink of being a multimillionaire, and through no fault of my own, just financial industry events, or political, having to start over from zero, scratch, nothing in the bank, and rebuilding. I didn't talk about that, and those are all experiences that there's great
Mm-hmm.
value, insight into, that I'm sharing with others, both in
Yeah.
written form and verbal, to say, as long as you continue to try,
Yeah.
you win. And
Exactly.
that message has to reverberate.
Exactly. And there's no for me there's no stopping.
No,
For me,
no.
like one of the things you said, your plan is to reach one person. That's what
Mhm.
I always say about this show, because sometimes people go, well, how many people do you have in your show, when they're asking to be on my show? I was
Right.
like, I don't know, because yes, I can tell you how many people are in the chat room now,
Mhm.
because there's always numbers up there somewhere.
Mhm.
I can tell you how many people have, you know seen it or liked it or come. But all I need to know is that, for me, when you and I are having this conversation, I'm focusing on that one person, and I
Absolutely.
always do. There's one person out there who's going to get the message, whether they get it from this live, the
Mhm.
YouTube, the audio thing, or somebody happens to share, or says, "Do you know I saw Mama D talking with Nate, and they were talking about it," and that person kind of goes, "Aha, there's that
Yeah,
person."
that's it.
You know, that's all you can. That people focus on the big picture.
Mhm.
I kind of like focus on the one.
Mhm.
Yeah, the big picture is going to take care of itself. The future is going to take care of
Absolutely.
itself. Like you
Absolutely.
said, we got to take care of ourselves. Taking
Mhm.
care of ourselves makes us able to help others. And I was like, how many times do you hear moms go, "Oh my God, I have to do this and this and this for my
Mm.
kids,"
Right.
but they're not. They're like frazzled, and
Yes.
I would hear more about moms, right? But and I'd be like, "Yo, you need a break." "No, I can't. I have to go do this for my kids. Otherwise," "No, no, no, no. You need a break. You need to do something, even if it's like, a 20-minute bath, hot
Mhm.
soap, close it, put the music on, just tell everybody, saying, I got to go to the bathroom, leave me alone for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
If they knock on the door, put those headphones in. You know, if there's an emergency, here's my phone call, 911.
Absolutely.
Where's 911? Where's your mom? In the bath, but you need that.
It's called
Whether
self-care.
it's exactly, whether
And
it's a bath, whether it's a walk in the woods, whether
mhm.
it's just listening to music,
Yes.
you know,
You
because,
gotta slow down, hear
mm-hmm,
yourself think, breathe, re-energize. Because if
yes,
you give everything you have to give, you're depleted,
mm-hmm,
and then you've got nothing to give. There
no,
was a saying that, rather, we tend to give our bricks away that we would use to build our house, with the hope or expectations that other would give us their bricks. And then we find that doesn't happen. And now we're
yeah,
left homeless with no bricks. So better to build your house and invite the homeless in for dinner.
oh yeah, I like
And
that,
had to learn that process of, you we are meant, I believe, and designed as human beings to give from our excess and our overflow, energy wise.
Yes. Hmm.
If we're depleted, they're getting the bottom of
It's
the
not
barrel
going to get.
stuff. It's not the if we are full, they're getting the best and it's flowing naturally. We don't even have to work at it. Just it's
Yep.
overflowing. And people need to understand that the act of self-care, taking that walk, listening to that music, lock yourself in the bathroom, go in the garage, sit in the car, hide if you have to in the closet, do what you need
Exactly.
to do to heal
Exactly. Hmm.
and feel better about yourself. And heal is a whole word in of itself. um,
Yeah.
the whole stigma around mental illness, and I don't have that. If you cut your finger, okay, the skin is now separated, and depending on the depth of the cut, it could need stitches, but it's prone to infection. But the point is that it needs to heal. It's been wounded and needs to
Hmm.
heal. Newsflash: our emotions can be wounded
Yep.
and need to heal. It can
Yes.
be where I've lost the finger altogether, or I've just got a little, nick that needs a band-aid. But both of those require healing.
Healing.
And,
Yeah.
and people don't understand that when it comes to their mental self,
Right. And
that they're,
healing takes
yes,
time.
thank you. It takes time.
Yeah.
Wounds come in different shapes and sizes.
Hmm.
And you're if you live in this world, you are going to be emotionally, mentally, um, psychologically wounded, without
Yeah.
a doubt. And if you do not take the time to allow that to heal, some it requires therapy.
Yeah.
It requires going to a professional.
Yeah.
Others, self care. And if you continue to neglect self care over and over and over and over again, you're going to get to a point where the place I got,
Yeah.
and that was not a good place.
Nope.
My therapist said that there's always a solution to everything. You may not like the solution.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
That
You may
doesn't
not like
mean
the solution.
there is a solution,
Hmm.
because I
Exactly.
kept going down the path of, when will it solve? It will. There's something. It's there. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Unless
and
you have that instant gratification disease, that really gets on your nerve.
wow,
Been
that
there,
that
done that.
that is a disease in many
Yeah.
respects, and
Hmm.
getting worse. Um,
Exactly.
Getting worse.
We are past the time, but I have one more question before I want to let you go. Okay, who is your hero and why? Because right now you are a hero to many, even though you may not realize it. But who made you? Who is your hero?
That's an easy one. My mom.
Okay. Yay,
Um,
moms.
my dad, successful and provided for us every day. He set the
Hmm.
tone for hard work. If you can do something, do it right, don't do it at all. And I highly respect and value him for what he did in terms of leading the home as the man of the home, and provided for us. He made us work for everything. I remember one time for Christmas we got furniture, not toys, and I thought, really? And I kept looking in the drawers, thinking there's going to be toys there, but practical in that regard. And it lasted me to my young adulthood. But my mom went through so much. That was a self-made millionaire more than once, twice actually,
Mm,
and whether and also went through tough times with business failures. And regardless of the challenges we face, she always stood behind him, beside him,
hmm.
there for him. But more importantly, she never changed who she was, whether being a multimillionaire or struggling to make ends meet. Her character, her strength, her grace, her intellect. She set the tone for me for the strength of a woman that I don't understand the misogyny, the misogynistic mindsets that exist today.
Hmm.
My mom broke the mold, or when they made her, they broke the mold and set the bar high, um, in terms of the strength of a woman, and even gender aside, she's just has that grace, that finesse. She doesn't badmouth people, even though people badmouth her. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seek out to do harm, even though people would seek to harm her and mistreat her. She's always been loving. I can't ever tell you once in my life where she uttered an unkind word to me. And I'm the youngest of five. And
God, she was a
uh,
saint.
in many, absolutely a saint. In many ways, I was chastised because I was closer to her than my dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. She was a tremendous mom through extreme adversity and always emulated. She's very quiet, not outspoken, not loud, not ever seeking attention, never materialistic. Whether she was in a Walmart jacket or a full length fur coat, it was that grace, it was that commanding respect that she exuded, and leading by example. She demonstrated to me the importance of character. Always keep your peace, and the lessons that she taught through her, the way that she lived, and still is. My dad has full blown dementia, doesn't remember me anymore, but my mom is, and she's his full time caretaker. She could put him in a home, but she refuses to do that. They've been married 64 years, I think.
Sounds
So
like my
just,
parents. Yep.
it's the strength.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so thankful for her because it helped me without even knowing. I got married at 20 to find the perfect wife who is the perfect mother for my kids
Yeah.
without knowing it. Who knows how to get married that early? But it's through her example. And it was much like when I went to play golf with my next door neighbor. He would take me golfing. I would be his caddy. And when I say that, he would rent a cart. He'd buy me lunch at the turn. It was great. And he would go with his fraternity buddies, and they would play golf. And he's African American. And it wasn't until later in life when I went to caddy at a country club that I understood that golf was an elitist sport. That it wasn't something that black people did. And I went, wow. So my first impression and indoctrination into it was that it was for everybody. So, like I think the comparison is my mom set the tone for women are intelligent, bright, strong. The teams I've built in leadership generally were staffed with women because they were smarter. they, they they didn't have thin, feral egos. They
Nope.
didn't need to be catered to. They worked harder. They were phenomenal. I've had some of the best teams. It's not a sexist thing because
No.
we encounter very similar things that minorities encounter. They know what it's like to be discriminated against,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe we found out in the states here this last election. It's been said that we are in the U.S. more misogynistic than racist, based on the outcome of this. Some people will say that this last election. So it's just I have profound respect for the intelligence, the brilliance, the strength of women that goes because of my mom. It goes
Mm-hmm.
unnoticed. We would be in a much better place. I think I read a last thing that said um, men have had their chance running the company. It's time for a woman to try. People get upset
Tell
at that,
us.
but you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Mm.
well, let's try.
Just and now you
And
just got to find the right one. I'm sorry, but I think it has to be a mom that has at least three kids, and
very true.
and because I mean I'm a mom of three kids. Your
Hmm?
mom had Hey Petra, your mom had five. God help her. Hopefully there was a girl at least in there.
Yeah, one, four boys and one girl.
There you go. So she was at least blessed with one angel. Sorry, I have two boys and one girl. But we know how to calm things down, how to make things work, how not to, it's like, okay, you need to. So find a woman who's got at least three children, who's not full of herself, because there are a lot of women out there who are full of themselves, and it's
Full
all
of their
about me.
cup.
Make sure that
Yes.
see, actually, you guys will get one. They got one. I think it's in New Zealand or something. An amazing
Yes.
prime minister who
Like
she
landslide.
kicks some butt up there.
Mhm.
But yeah, so your
Uh,
mom sounds like an amazing lady
She
in
is an
so many
absolute saint.
ways.
Yeah, she's an absolute. She was my first best friend, and she taught me so many things. And I am who I am. The values that I have because of her.
Well,
And
I'm sure your mom is extremely proud that of the son that you have become.
gosh,
Mm.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I'm going to let you go. We are running late, but I thank you very much. And like I
Thank you.
said, you said five more books you're working on. You got my
Yes.
mailing address, but I really want
Absolutely.
the last one, the daughters and the angel in hell. Is that what that?
You're on the list. It's just got to get
Oh
them done.
gosh, that get them done. And if anybody's out there listening and you're a publisher, get a hold of Nate Battle. You can find him on Facebook. You can find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and one more I can't think. Eventually, he'll be on TikTok.
TikTok. Easiest way to find me, all my social media, natebattle.com.
Exactly. Find him, get a hold of him, create, help him allow these books to be created and published. Because, and if you can't find him, get a hold of me because everybody knows where to find me. I'm just always out there.
Absolutely. It was an absolute honor
It
to
was
be on
fun,
this
and
with you. You're a very
it was.
kind, loving soul.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm just me, but we will have to do this again when the next book
Indeed.
comes out. We'll
Absolutely.
keep in
Of course.
touch. And everybody, I thank you for coming in. Rosemary, Dave, Petra. I saw Ashley was here, and my co-host on my Thursday night show, Gina B. Thank you all for being here. Nate, anytime you've got something to share, let me know. I will share it very happily.
I will look forward to a phenomenal event coming up here. It's not been fully announced on
Ooh.
November 11th. It's going to
Remembrance Day.
be incredible.
Okay.
I'll
So
leave
we'll
it
make
at that.
sure that we get that one pumped up. Push that one out as much as we can. Hang on a second. Everybody, I will see you all next week. And I have no idea right now who is on next week's show. My month is over, I think. I don't know anymore.